everyone. It is 10 a.m. and we're going to give folks a few more minutes to join the meeting. Thank you all for being here today. And again, we'll start when we have a few more attendees in the queue to join the meeting. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks again for being here this morning. We are welcoming you to the Charter School Facility Program webinar for the Proposition 2 funding round. With the $600 million approved by voters in 2024, this brings the program's total to over $2 billion. Today, you will hear from State Treasurer Fiona Ma, and then you will hear from our team. You'll learn about the CSFP application process and how we make our financial soundness determinations. You probably attended a similar webinar with the Office of Public School Construction, so we do work in tandem. The two agencies will be reviewing applications, separate applications from each project. So again, our side of the shop is to review financial soundness and determine whether or not program applicants demonstrate the ability to repay a 30-year loan. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to State Treasurer Fiona Ma. State Treasurer Fiona Ma chairs the California School Finance Authority. Thank you, Treasurer Ma. I am Katrina Johansson, the Executive Director of the California School Finance Authority, and our team today is Ryan Story, the manager over the program, Colin Smith, and Jeff Taylor. This team is important because you'll be working with one of these analysts as we walk through and review your application for financial soundness as we bring that recommendation to the board. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Ryan Story, who will get us started today. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Katrina. Just some housekeeping really quickly for everybody. As Katrina mentioned in the opening of the webinar, OPSC, the co-administrators of this program, also had some webinars and training. So we're going to provide the links for those in the chat at the end of the webinar for you all. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and type out the question in the chat. I see that we couldn't hear any of the message from Christopher Williams. Okay, so if that is the case, we'll go ahead and we'll make sure to play it at the end if we can. We went through a run through. It did play. We had issues on one. And so, yeah, we'll go ahead and make sure to play that again. Apologies if that happens. We go to the next slide, Jeff. Thank you. So the overview of CSFA, we were established in 1985 to assist school districts, county offices of education, and community colleges with working capital and school financing, or school facilities. It was expanded to include charter schools in the year 2002, which was the start of this program. It is chaired by a 3-member board, which includes Treasurer Fiona Moss, CPA, Superintendent of Public Instruction Tony Thurman, and Director of Finance Joe Steppenshaw. We've administered 15 programs to assist school districts, community college districts, and charter schools since 2002, and we have offices in Sacramento and Los Angeles. And this is a quick overview of the programs administered by CSFA. As many of you are probably aware of, this Charter School Facility Grant Program, which has a similar name, the SB 740 program, which is also known by this program, the CSFP program, our Charter School Revolving Loan Fund program, which is going through some legislative changes, the Charter School Facilities Incentive Grant program, which we just received a $30 million grant and are currently applying for a $50 million grant to refund that program. The application is currently open for that as well. Our conduit financing program, and typically coupled with our credit enhancement programs. Those 3 programs at the bottom are currently inactive programs just due to funding or lack of need, but are technically active, if you will. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to Colin to talk a little bit more about the program specifics.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So I'm going to give a little history on the funding of CSFP. This program began as a pilot back in 2002 when voters approved Proposition 47, which allocated $100 million specifically for charter school facilities. That momentum continued with 3 more propositions over the next decade. Prop 55 in 2004, which added $300 million. Prop 1D in 2006, adding another $500 million. And Prop 51 in 2016 brought in another $500 million. And now, thanks to Proposition 2 passing last year, we have an additional $600 million in available funding. So for those considering applying this year, you're in a very strong position. There's a real opportunity to secure funding for construction, renovation, and modernization. Next slide, please. So this is a CSFP overview. CSFP, as mentioned earlier, is a collaborative program administered by both the Office of Public School Construction, or OPSC, and us here at CSFA. The way it works is that OPSC evaluates the facilities project, things like design, square footage, construction costs, while CSFA determines whether the applicant is financially sound and capable of repaying the state's loan. The structure is designed to balance support with accountability. The state provides 50% of the total project cost as a grant, and the other 50% as a loan, also known as a local matching share. The repayment term for the loan can stretch up to 30 years and comes with a low fixed interest rate, currently about 3%. The repayment term for that loan can stretch up to, payments are collected through what's called the intercept mechanism. And this means CSFA automatically deducts the loan payment from your state apportionment, which ensures consistency and simplifies the repayment process. And then one more note, the title to the property can be held by your school, a local governmental entity, or a school district. There's some flexibility depending on your governance structure and the long-term goals. Next slide, please. Okay, so since the program launched in 2003, the state has awarded over $1.5 billion through CSFP. And that funding has been supported or has supported 127 facility projects for 100 charter schools that have impacted more than 50,000 students across the state. So if you're wondering whether this program has meaningful reach, I mean, the proof is in the numbers here. There are schools just like yours that need construction, renovations, campus expansions, and we're able to make it happen thanks to CSFP. With that, I am going to hand it over to Jeffrey Taylor to continue the webinar.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the application process. So the best way to submit your application starting tomorrow is going to be through the online portal of the CSFA website. Alternatively, if you would like a hard copy of the application along with all the documents on a USB type drive can be submitted in person or mailed. That hard copy will need to be either brought in person before 5 o'clock on the day of the end of the application period or postmarked that day. Also to note that the online portal will close at 11:59 when the application period completes. The preliminary apportionment financial soundness review. This is essentially that Colin and I will be taking complete applications and reviewing them for the applicant's ability to service the debt that they're looking to take on, the financial strength of the applicant. We then have execution of program agreements, funding agreements, memorandums of understanding. These documents are there to set expectations, make sure that all funds are going to be distributed and repaid correctly, as well as there's understanding on the projects and scope of work to be completed. The advanced apportionment financial soundness review was very similar to the preliminary apportionment. This is intended for applicants who are accessing funding to maybe design the scope of work of a project to be done, secure a property, such type expenses that are going to occur before the actual scope of work of the project is begun. Final apportionment funding, financial soundness review, again, very similar to number 2 and number 4. And this is just a final review with updated financial information, including some of that we'll talk about on the next slide, just to make sure everything is in order before final fundings are released to complete the project. And then payments will commence after occupancy. That's 1 year after. So for example, a project starts and then ends in October of 2027. Payments would begin October of 2028. And the last is post-compliance requirements. This is ensuring that the applicant and then borrower are supplying financials as requested and notifying the authority of any additional debt or type items taken on. So it's important to keep in mind that 2 applications are required for this program. One needs to be submitted to the Office of Public School Construction, the OPSC, and the other to us, CSFA, for your school to be considered for funding. Again, as I mentioned previously, there is an option to submit a hard copy. Make sure to submit the completed CSFA 0301 form and include a flash drive with the complete application package. Again, no email, no fax. And those applications should be postmarked by October 31st or delivered in hand or by hand by 5 p.m. on the 31st. The preferable and easiest method to submit is through our portal. And again, that is open starting tomorrow and will close 11:59 p.m. on October 31st. Late applications will not be reviewed, nor will applications that are lacking all the necessary information. This is not to say they will not be reviewed, but we will request additional documentation to make sure everything is complete before the review will begin. And with that, I will pass this on to Colin, or rather Ryan.
I will be passing the call in. So Jeff was stealing my thunder there for 1 second. Friendly reminder with the applications as well. Though the applications are both due to OPSC and CSFA, they're both dramatically different applications. So they don't need to be submitted at the exact same moment to be considered submitted. They both need to be submitted during that application period being open. So if you did your OPSC application today and you are on tomorrow on the 3rd when it opens, and you did ours a week later, as long as they were both done within the open application period, they're considered to both be submitted. So I want to make sure that's clear to everyone. We've had some questions about it. So just want to make sure if anyone's concerned, make sure you just they're both submitted by the 31st. So we're going to go into supporting documentation for it. I'm going to go over the first part that is specific to the program or project itself. So the main thing that we're doing with this program is confirming debt service coverage or the ability to repay the matching share. So we need to know who's responsible or the obligor. So we need to confirm the entity that is responsible for the 50% local matching share. If it's a lump sum or it's a loan repayment or a combination of both, we just need to be able to confirm who or what entity is going to be able to is providing that. And then the source of the structure of any matching share contributions. For lump sum contributions, we're looking for audited statements and certification from the district, more than likely, about some type of bond contribution, or for maybe a CMO that's doing a lump sum contribution, the same thing, but just for the specific fund in which the source will be. Additionally, for anyone that's doing a matching share through a loan repayment, we're going to go ahead and just do a full financial review and be able to know that it's being paid from the general fund itself and intercept it, as was mentioned earlier. The charter and the project documentation. So the most recent copy of your authorized charter. An updated project description. Now, OPSC asks for a project description. You can look for a crossover to use both as long as it has those four: the scope, the timeline, the location, the occupancy. A narrative is fine. We actually put these in our staff reports, so a narrative is helpful. But if it's just hitting those 4 notes and bullet points, that'd be totally fine as well. And then any evaluations and reports from the chartering authority. Lastly, we have site or facility information. This would be information that is related for renovation or site acquisition. For construction that's already there, the title ownership will be worked with OPSC, but we're talking about something that is a renovation. Since we are controlling the program agreements, we'd also like the MOU or operating agreement with your chartering authority. So that title ownership about, a CMO with something that they're just having new construction on that doesn't involve an acquisition, we don't need the full documentation on that. That one's already going to be provided to OPSC. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Colin. Now it's my turn to do that and to talk about operational information and documents.
Thanks, Ryan. So next up, operational documentation. You'll need to include enrollment data for the past 3 years, the current year, and then projections through either I think 30, 31, or at least the first 2 fiscal years after full occupancy, so whichever is later. We also asked for students' demographics. This includes ADA, percentage of students qualifying for FRPM, English learners, foster youth, and if you have a wait list, then please include that as well. You'll also need to submit your organizational structure. That's resumes for key leadership, CEOs, CFOs, principals, plus a list of board members with their name, their terms and roles, and a breakdown of FTE teacher data, past and projected. School performance and oversight, you'll need to provide evaluations from your chartering authority that speak to your instructional quality and academic outcomes, and student performance data from the past 3 years. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Jeffrey.
Alrighty, and I'm going to touch on the supporting documentation, the financials that are part of our needs list. Let's start with 3 years of audited financial statements with notes. This allows us to go through and look at the historicals of whether, in the past that there was ability to support the debt that was now being considered. Unaudited actuals are available for the interim, are acceptable for the interim period. We do need budget projections for the current year, as well as projections, as Colin had noted, for 5 years going forward or 2 years after the full occupancy begins, whichever is longer. Along with those projections, assumptions are needed as well to explain them. Projected income statements, balance sheets, and cash flow should be included. And again, written assumptions with all of these projections and forecasts. We will need a debt schedule listing any borrowing over 50K for terms exceeding 1 year. That should be just noted, and if possible, include a copy of the note. All material contracts and any anticipated contracts involving program funds are requested as well. Any additional disclosures include the completed legal status questionnaire and information on any material contracts or any contract with a charter management organization, if that is applicable to the school. We will be looking for at least 100% debt service coverage in the first 2 years of repayment. This other considerations taken into account is enrollment in ADA levels. We'll be looking at those projections as well. So again, please include assumptions, free cash flow per ADA, free cash flow in general, net working capital, and the matching share payment relative to operational revenues. This is in addition to net working capital relative to operating expenses. And I will now pass it off to, I believe, Ryan.
Thanks, everyone. And also wanted to give a chance for Katrina to say some words as well. The addresses you see on the left are our mailing addresses. We have our, as I mentioned before, we have offices in Sacramento and Los Angeles. Mailing to either of those addresses are fine. The Sacramento building is 100% the state treasurer's office, which is a little bit easier when it comes to mail delivery. Well, not to discourage anything to the Los Angeles office mail-wise, but we are within a state building in general. So it's a little bit more specific to Sacramento if you choose to mail. And additionally, I would certified mail to be able to certify what date it was sent as well, just in case something gets delayed would be the best way to do it. And of course, submitting early is the #1 way to go ahead and get past that. And Katrina, I don't know if you wanted to go ahead and introduce, we have a fifth member of the team outside of Katrina that didn't get added by me not uploading the new edition here.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us again. Our new member of the team is Brandy Mayers. So she'll be joining us after July 14th. So well within the application review process. So some of you may be assigned to Miss Mayers. Sorry, I just wanted to read a question from Joyce Montgomery. Hi, Joyce. It was informed by CSFA that a preliminary apportionment must be awarded before financial. No, so only schools that are determined financially sound will be considered by the Office of Public School Construction for an award at the State Allocation Board. So our review is a pass-fail review. We don't say whether or not you're super financially sound or just at the cusp, but so those schools that are deemed financially sound would be considered for a project at the State Allocation Board. Did that make sense? So yeah, you need to submit your project information to OPSC because we use the project costs that they generate to determine financial soundness. So without an application to OPSC, we can't do our job. So let me know if that answered your question, Joyce, and then what type of report from the authorizer required. So, you know, besides your charter petition, approved charter petition, if there's a memorandum of understanding or a facility use agreement, we would be looking for those types of documents from your authorizer. And then the letter of good standing, we'll be seeking that independent of the school. So we'll be sending out our good standing certification to each authorizer, ensuring that the school is in good standing in order to be deemed financially sound. And then material contracts, we would be looking at, you know, it depends on the size of the budget. So, you know, any significant contract or, you know, that you have in place. And once we have your cash flows and the model built, we'll be reaching out if we need future guidance on that. Online submission. Yes, we do have an online portal. We would, I think in the past, we have run into capacity issues in terms of the ability to upload all the required documents. So if you do run into an issue with that, please feel free to reach out to anyone on the team. The CSFP mailbox is also a good place to send documents that, exceed the capacity, but we should have that resolved. It is 2025. So we'll be working with our IT department to make sure that, we have that capacity between now and we start seeing applications come in. I think that was it on our presentation. I didn't know if others had any questions. I think
once in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, there's one more in the chat.
No, if the people wanted to enter them in the chat, did want to.
Yeah. Instead of the Q&A. Yeah. I think once folks get into the application, you might have more questions on the last slide. Can you go back to the last slide? Here we go. I can. So these aren't really supplemental considerations, but rather these are built into, these are the metrics that are spit out of our financial model, Ms. Meadows. So we put information into a financial model, and then these metrics are spit out at the end, and that's what we present to the board. So when you say, can we explain each term? ADA is your average daily attendance. Your free cash flow is your cash flow divided by your average daily attendance. Then we look at your free cash flow, and then your net working capital is how much working capital do you have left after paying all your bills. Matching share payment relative to operating. So your matching share payment is really your annual loan amount under this program. So we take your project cost. The interest rate is set at the lesser of a 2 calculation, but nothing less than 3%. So typically we're seeing loans, 30-year loans at 3% right now. So we would look at your annual debt service payment relative to your operating revenues. So what percentage is that? That's the data that we're going to be providing to our board. And then your net working capital is, again, what's left over after you paid all your bills. What percentage of that is your operating revenue? Sorry, I talk fast. Did that answer your questions, Ms. Meadow? And if folks wanted to look at an example of what our staff summaries look like and kind of, it looks almost like a rating agency report because we are looking at operational and financial indicators. So we're happy to guide you to, a sample of what a recommendation looks like to our board so that you can get a sense of kind of what all the information will look like as we bring our recommendations to the board. Joyce, I think what you might be getting at is, one of the things that, because this is $600 million, let's say we have applications totaling, 4 times that. We would work with OPSC on which applicants look the most competitive given their funding matrix. I don't know, is it possible to get the recording? Yes, I don't know if the recording will be up, Ms. Mina, but I'm sorry, Mr. Mina, but the transcript may be up rather than the recording. Ryan, can you confirm if it'll be the transcript or the recording?
So just per the new STO ADA standards, we were providing a recording of the video that was taken today. And then if you would like and this is for everyone here as well, if you would like a copy of the slide deck, please do reach out to us individually and we can provide a PDF copy of the slide deck for this presentation. Posting it generally would be something that that just was advised more as a video, but we can provide it once requested. So those would be your 2 options there.
If we are in year 7, 2% interest, 23 years, are we looking to expand? Would a new project roll over the first loan, or would it be in addition to our? We are in 7-year. We would be looking at your existing, Ms. Meadow, I'm looking at your question. Her question is, if we are in year 7 of a Prop 1D facility build with a 2% interest rate at 23 years to go, we would be looking at your existing Prop 1D debt service and this project obligation, and we would be looking at that 1 times coverage as well.
For anyone with prior projects, all those are considered, and the same thing for schools that have some type of outstanding financing for a facility or some type of bridge financing. It's considered and just not what is measured in what is the matching share payment for the individual project that you'll be applying for, but it will be considered. And for the last one right there, no, you cannot. SB 740 funds cannot be used to repay matching share requirements for this program.
Because this is a 50% grant.
Yes.
You know, it's a 50% grant, 50% loan. So it's, you know, it's a standalone program that cannot be coupled with SB 740. I think we were going to replay the treasurer's remarks if we could get those. That volume was calibrated. I think that would be, Jeff, within your control. Is that right? We'll give it a few more minutes to see if there are any other questions. When might we have the transcript up for Mr. Mina? Ryan, is that up?
It won't be a transcript. It'll be a YouTube video link, so that the
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And
so
everyone
that will be
everyone that registered will get that. Yeah. With that, I think, Jeff, where you were going to replay the treasurer's remarks, and then we can we use, yes. Can we use, can they use Prop 2 money to pay off an existing loan? This is a state building program. So Holly, this would have to be, it would have to be a Field Act building. It would have to be, we'd have to talk more about the existing, is the existing loan for a facility? Maybe you want to email us, Holly, and we can talk offline about your project. I think I could still use some help understanding the two applications. What will that be clear when the portal's open? Ms. Sanchez, so one application is to the Office of Public School Construction. Ryan, I don't know if we have a link to their presentation. So that application is going to be very specific on the student population you serve, where you're building, the grade levels you serve, and they generate a grant calculator based on myriad, facts about your school that you're going to provide OPSC. And so that application is specific to your project or your facility. The CSFP or the CSFP application to CSFA is focused primarily on your financial and operational indicators. So we look at whether or not you can afford the project that OPSC is generating that project cost for. So there are two separate applications. One will be very specific about your facility and the project that you want to build and the students you serve. And ours is whether or not you can afford that facility. So let's see, need versus financial standing. If the school is lost due to natural disaster before is the loan payment due at the time? I think we'd have to look at that. I don't know if there's a provision in the MOU regarding natural disaster or the facility no longer being in use. So we can get back to you on that, Karen. Jeff, did you have that recording queued up?
Yes, I am.
And then if questions continue to come in while the treasurer's remarks are being replayed, we can hold on and answer those at the end.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Colin. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, and thank everybody for joining us.
All right, I'm going to play it now.
Thank you so much, everybody. Again, please do apply tomorrow at 10 a.m. Again, the OPSC website, I'm going to go ahead and post those to link to their facility funding website right here, which has their former webinars and as well as information about their application portal as well. Again, you need to do ours on CSFA website and OPSC's website, or the physical application separately to their individual locations. And yes, to answer your question, Sarah, Katrina, provide a response. And if you had any further questions, feel free to reach out to the email box as well, the CSFP at treasurer.ca.gov. And our team will be online tomorrow, ready for any questions, comments, concerns. So please do not be shy and reach out if need be.